Hey everyone, and welcome back to the news. So, we've got an Overwatch 2 update because a major staffer has actually left the project. This has been doing the rounds on a few websites, so we thought we would dive into it because it's Overwatch 2. People have been generally a bit confused about where it's been and what's been going on. Right, so, the Overwatch 2 development head, Chaco Sonny, is leaving Blizzard at the end of this week, which is a pretty damn high-profile departure. And of course, it's a departure that is happening while all of these other bad things are happening at the company. I mean, literally just yesterday, we talked about Claire Hart, Blizzard's chief legal officer, leaving the company, right? Now, of course, for the Overwatch team itself, we had Jeff Kaplan leave. And that has been something where the silence has been deafening because we've not heard a single thing from Jeff. We've basically not heard anything since from Blizzard, which has got a lot of people a little bit worried and a little bit uneasy given everything that has been going on. So there's that weird stuff going on. Now, they do actually have a statement confirming his departure, saying that he's leaving Blizzard to take some time off after 5 years of service. They're saying that Overwatch 2 is making excellent progress and that they're actually in the final stages of production, and they'll be sharing more at the Overwatch League Grand Finals later this month. Which is all interesting. I believe there was talk of the next bit of the Overwatch League actually running on, like, Overwatch 2.
Yes.
Yeah, not Overwatch 1, so there is that. And I think we can assume a release window and beta. Probably as our announcement soon enough. So there you go. He's taking some time off. And there's a few different ways you can actually read into this, but first let's just talk about who the guy actually is first. So, he joined Blizzard in 2016. He first served as the executive producer on Overwatch, and then as development head on Overwatch 2, and he was also a Blizzard vice president. So, even though most of us have not heard of him, evidently somebody who was very high up in the company and was very high up in a way that, related to actual product development. So, he's an important guy, seemingly quite respected amongst the team based on the research that we did, and kind of viewed as being an integral figure in the future of Overwatch, especially after Jeff Kaplan's departure. Because whenever the game director leaves, well, yeah, you'd think the development head would be a pretty important guy in the overall equation. So, his departure was announced by himself to colleagues last week. Bloomberg says he's leaving this Friday. He didn't actually mention why he's leaving, only to tell colleagues that it had been an absolute privilege and one of the best experiences of his career. And he did not mention any of the ongoing turmoil at the company. And when he's going, Mike Ybarra and Jen O'Neill, who were the two new co-leaders of Blizzard, said he was a thoughtful leader. So, I don't think he's leaving in any capacity that is to do with him being implicated or involved in this stuff. I feel like we would probably know if that was the case, and it probably wouldn't be handled in the way that it is being handled right now. And I just think that from a perspective of risk exposure. I know there's a lot of people who would say, oh, they're just going to give him a good send-off and put it under the rug, but if there was actually stuff that could come out, and then, Ybarra and O'Neill call him a thoughtful leader, and he's given, like, a good, proper send-off, and then it turns out that's all lies and stuff was buried, that would be an utter disaster for Blizzard, and I think they would not open themselves up to that risk. So I really don't think he was implicated in any of that nasty business. Of course, who knows? Maybe we'll find out, but I wouldn't think so at this particular stage. So that's who he is. You might then be wondering, what does this all mean for Overwatch 2? Well, there is another thing. Julia Humphreys, a production director at Blizzard, also seems to have followed Jeff Kaplan out the door. This was interesting. So, here's a tweet, which is, I think this is where people sort of initially found it, or at least I first saw it, from Steph, saying, unmentioned in any of the Overwatch departures is Julia Humphreys, who reported to Chaco and left around the same time as Jeff, May 2021. Julia was one of the few female production directors at Blizzard, and I respected her tremendously. So, who knows? There are many situations where a key person will go, and you will see some of their more high-up senior staff leave with them. A really good example of this is whenever Ben Brode left to found Second Dinner, which I believe is currently working on a decently high-budget Marvel project. Ben Brode used to be the game director, I believe that was his title, of Hearthstone, and whenever he left, a bunch of the top Hearthstone people also went with him. Now, to finish off the news part of this, well, Overwatch 2 was in early development as of its BlizzCon announcement. A lot of people's initial impression was, looks cool, also looks like Overwatch 1.5. It's been radio silence for a while. There was the PvP showcase earlier this year that actually properly showed off parts of the game. And until then, there was just a bit more silence. They did mention they hit an important internal milestone at their quarterly earnings call. Maybe, I don't know. Alpha probably that would be too late for Alpha.
Yeah, it's hard to know what...
Depends on the distinction. But.
Yeah, it's hard to know if they determine like internal betas, internal alphas and stuff all differently, because you could see that, but like Alpha at that point would be... how long's it been in development? It's insane.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, who knows? Even if we think about... If I think about like our Alpha date as compared to our entire production calendar, it's like Alpha is earlier than most people think, because Alpha is when, you're not at all content complete, like at all, but you're quite feature and like technical stuff complete. Sans lots and lots of polishing. So who knows? That probably would be too late for Alpha. Maybe an internal beta. That would be them getting ready for something like that. But the meaning of the word beta is... I think the meaning of Alpha is generally pretty well adhered to, but it's the meaning of beta that's just absolutely all over the place in the games industry. Yeah. So anyway, there was that. Then, of course, we heard that the Overwatch League will be played using an early version of Overwatch 2 in its upcoming season, and we're going to find out more about that during the Grand Finals, which does make me think those Grand Finals are going to give us a beta date, maybe even a release window. So that's that for Overwatch 2 then. That is the news. What do you think?
It's so rough on Blizzard, I think, to be losing so many members of staff that are really key, especially like leaving before Overwatch 2, actually finishes or is released, means that from the financial aspect, unless he is tied into like royalties afterwards, generally that's, maybe it's different in different companies, but I would assume that's him basically going, I'd rather be gone than get the bonus from the game launching. Because obviously we've heard that like staff are waiting for bonuses to come around the corner, and they're continually promised when it comes to, okay, our big releases are coming out. It'll be next year. The year after. The year after. So they're going for it, but he's just like, nope, I have to leave the industry for some time as a result.
Only thing I could think that would be different there is that maybe somebody in a far more high up role is being compensated more in the form of stock options and stuff.
Possibly. And
perhaps those more high up people just have like a different contract that would mean that they wouldn't be egged on as egged on to stay even though they're not super satisfied, versus the more rank and file employees at the company. I think it was interesting for Julia. I don't really know anything about her or anything like that, but just the idea of people leaving quietly, that is stuff I absolutely can't talk about. But there's a lot of pretty just legit people, I suppose, who who leave Blizzard, but you don't really appreciate what they contributed, or just how important they were, stuff like that. That stuff absolutely is happening. And I have to imagine that unless the company really cleans up its act, that's going to happen more and more. Now, one thing I have heard in the grapevine is that they're trying to rectify the wage situation.
That's good.
Versus other companies, which, they absolutely would need to do. But certainly, the most important thing in your company is your people. It doesn't matter if you've got a great idea or a great design or anything like that. You need great people to build it. So, bit rough. And I think we can see how a few months ago, he would have left, and it would just be like, oh, man's left. Does it mean anything for the game? Maybe, maybe not. But in the current environment, just everything is under the microscope.
And for good reason, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you have to think, who are they going to replace this guy with? Who are they going to replace Jack with? Who are they going to replace, Julia with? Who are they going to replace any of these people who have left with, when they haven't solved the wage situation lift or yet, they're still under this, the microscope of your company's name is, as in the dirt as it could reasonably be. Like, because them focusing on the wage situation is interesting, because obviously the reason they got away for so long with offering substantially below market average wages for that area, and especially compared to the highest paying competitors, was the Blizzard prestige. Where they went, oh yeah, you're working for Blizzard, that'll cover the fact that you're getting paid 50% less than someone else who does the same job, in the same general area. But that's all well and truly gone. So you're not going to get the best people in to do the best jobs anymore, unless they, dig deep into their coffers and pull that money out of somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, if I was to give the charitable read in this, it's that basically, he was able to hammer the project into shape in a post-Jeff Kaplan world, perhaps set up his successor, do all the things that he would need to do, and then leave. That's like the most charitable read. There's obviously significantly less charitable reads of the situation, but I think that's basically what's going on. As for what it means about Overwatch 2, there's loads of different things. I remember it was Your Overwatch. Anybody who's really looked at Overwatch on YouTube, you'll know, like, it's Your Overwatch, it's Stylosa. There's a few others in the space as well, but I'm fairly sure it was Your Overwatch who were. It felt very wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Their coverage about Jeff leaving to me, it was very like, he's going, and we really know that Jeff is a strong advocate for the things he's a strong advocate for, and it sort of had a little bit of an insinuation that maybe things weren't going exactly the way that he would have wanted them to go, or something like that. So you maybe have to wonder, is there a lot of pressure from, like, if the guy's leaving because he needs a break, is there a situation where, and in a way this actually would be understandable for Activision top brass. Not that I just want to be fair to Bobby, but Blizzard has absolutely struggled to get content out. And I think you can see the company thinking, well, we have all these investors, we have all these shareholders. The reason why they've invested in us is because they think we're going to be making all of these epic entertainment experiences. And, over here at Activision land, we are fulfilling our quota of entertainment experiences. What's going on over there, Blizzard? Where is your games? This was supposed to be out last year. This was supposed to be that. Why did you split resources between Overwatch 2 and that big StarCraft shooter in the very early days? Why did you do this? What is going on? And then you maybe sort of think, well, are they just trying to, push to get Overwatch 2 out a little bit quicker? And maybe he quits over this. Maybe this just leads to an environment where the people at the top, like him and like Kaplan, are just burnt out.
I mean, the thing here is, remember what he was. He joined as executive producer. That was his role on Overwatch and Overwatch 2. He was development head on Overwatch 2 as well. But he joined in 2016, which means he joined, I'm not sure when in 2016, but Overwatch came out in 2016. So that was around the time of launch, which means it's been post-launch Overwatch production and then Overwatch 2 production. But consider, like you say about the StarCraft shooter, the fact they were splitting resources. Then think about the fact that they brought Toys for Bob in. Activision did. I don't know if we have official confirmation, but we might as well have in terms of what we've heard from people.
Yeah, I think Toys for Bob are mostly on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
At least that's the one where it's been like way more public about Call of Duty, but we heard like rumors of some other people helping in Overwatch 2.
Yeah, that's what it was. We heard rumors of some of Toys for Bob people have been brought to Overwatch because of the variety of expertise there. But like, that's going to cause a problem for your production team. If you're an executive producer, you're going to have to work like crazy to hammer in getting a massive influx of new staff into the production pipeline, into the overall plans, and that's going to result in your plans changing consistently, especially if your director leaves.
Yeah.
And then is replaced by another director, and a production director leaves at the same time. He's likely had to pick up some of that slack.
Yeah, and then it maybe makes you think, well, director changes. Is there a little bit of a change in vision? I mean, even if you look at something like Halo Infinite, like, it's had creative leads creative people come and go, and seemingly direction changes, and that has obviously played havoc on a schedule. It wouldn't be surprising if it happened here, especially since it's like Overwatch 2. I mean, how complex is it? How big is it really? How did it take this long? All those things people are wondering, especially when Overwatch 1 really didn't have much post-launch content.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it had post-launch content. I was there for a bunch of it, but given the scope of Overwatch's success, it's kind of insane how little post-launch content there was.
Yeah, I mean, there's one actual thing I was thinking. Well, obviously, first of all, the only game that has acceptable content update rates at Blizzard is Hearthstone, realistically. And, not enough time in the day to go into why that might possibly be, because we just kind of don't know enough. But basically, that is the fact, essentially. Every other product or product has been substantially further behind you'd expect from the amount of money they put in, the amount of expectation weight on it. And then you look at, comparative to other parts of the industry, and this is what I think is going to be very important for a lot of Blizzard staff going forward, or potential Blizzard staff, or ex-Blizzard staff. You look at something like, I haven't double-checked the date, so it might be wrong, but you look at someone like Insomniac, who are obviously a very, very large studio, and they've made Spider-Man, they've made Spider-Man Miles Morales, they've made Ratchet and Clank, and they're going to make Spider-Man 2. Largely, I think Spider-Man 2 is a little further on, but they're at least going to have 3 extremely solid AAA games in a smaller period than it took from Overwatch to go to Overwatch 2. And no matter what you feel about the differences or how much difference there is in production, how important it is to get an online shooter right, all of those things will kind of feel irrelevant if you look at what you're literally creating in the industry.
And Wolverine.
Oh yeah, Wolverine, they're going to be working on that as well. So clearly they're a huge studio. So it's kind of, they clearly have multiple teams working on different games. So it's a little bit different there. But you look and you go, well, why would you work for Blizzard when you can work for somewhere that's going to have actual releases that people can play and feel really happy about on a regular basis? And that's not going to matter for everyone, but that's going to matter for the upper echelons of staff that you want for a company like Blizzard with the money like Activision Blizzard. And that's just going to, that's going to be kind of the slow death of them over time if they don't correct it in a way that makes sense. At least I feel that way, and I think that logically holds up. I think so anyway. But.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. That's the situation for today. So we basically just need to wait and see. And I think the next big date for this story is the Overwatch League finals, where we're actually going to find out probably what their plans are.
Yep, not a moment too soon.
So until then, thanks for, not literally until then, because we'll have a lot more videos until then, at least for Overwatch 2. So thanks for watching. There'll be other stuff on the channel today, so check it out, and we'll see you next time.